Okay, what are we watching now? Let's see. Oh, yes. All right. So I have to explain this a little because recently we watched something related to the Galapagos. And the reason why is because I am going to the Galapagos very soon, in like a month or something. So I want to do as much learning about the Galapagos as possible. I have a few of these sorts of programs about the Galapagos, and I kind of just want to run through all of them so that I have seen them before I go. So I will see how much we get through, but I definitely want to view this one at least. It might get repetitive, so I might, give up halfway through, but for at least now, we're going to try to do a Galapagos spinner. And today we're watching The Galapagos, Darwin's World Within Itself, another, Galapagos whole summary program. So we should get a very, very good overall view of the islands this way. Last time we got a good introductory look. It explained biogeography. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. I assume this is going to be very similar, and I think part of why I'm interested in watching this is so that we can compare the last one we watched to this one. This one is by the Encyclopedia Britannica Educational Corporation. We've watched a few things of theirs by now. We're going to watch a lot more, trust me. This was published in 1971. All it says is it introduces the flora and fauna of the Galapagos Islands. Ready? Let's go. All right, hang on. Biology program, Unit 1, Ecology, the world of life about us. This is a good clue about what context this program would have been shown in. So it says biology program unit 1. So like unit 1. So these programs must have been shown to classrooms. I wonder if it's Encyclopedia Britannica. I wonder if these were shown in like British classrooms. That would be really interesting. If like this is what was shown to like kids in science class in like Great Britain in like, when was this made? The 70s. I think that might be because they have like this structure to it, right? Biology program, unit 1. This might be the first thing you watch. I don't know how old somebody would be when they were shown this, but ecology, the world of life about us. Like this might be the first day of school for a kid in 1971, which is awesome. This seems so fun to get to watch in 1971. I bet kids loved watching this stuff. I don't know, I would have. I would have had a blast if this was my school.
Scattered across the oceans of the Earth are numerous islands, isolated from other landforms by an effective barrier of salt water.
Dude, I love how, you can't talk about the Galapagos without just immediately establishing the premise of island biogeography. This is going to be another video where I talk a lot about, I think. But again, just like the last time, like you have to establish the reason they're so special, and that reason is that they're islands. If you know Atlas Pro, you know I'm excited already.
Isolation offers to these islands an ecological opportunity for evolution of plants and animals.
All right. Bonus points if they say a laboratory for evolution. If that's something I really did not come up with myself, they'll say it too. They said it in the last one. I wonder if they'll say it in this one too.
Which are found nowhere else on Earth. The significance of these evolutionary patterns in species has made one island group famous throughout the world.
Dude, that's so funny because this is exactly how my script for my Galapagos video starts too. Just you can't not start a script about the Galapagos Islands like this. But this is like almost like word for not word for word, but like point for point. Like the structure of the story you're telling is the same as mine. And you can't escape this when you have to talk about the same things.
That group is the Galapagos Islands. In 1835, Charles Darwin visited this archipelago. Based principally on the observations he made here, the scientific...
point per point, this is my script. I know you guys don't know what my script looks like for the video that I'm going to make about the Galapagos, but it is just eerily similar. It's almost as if I don't even need to make that video because this is pretty much it. Again, that's why watching this stuff is so good because like somebody's already made the best educational content about the Galapagos. It's like you just have to go look back to 1971 for it, you know? You make new stuff, but this stuff is still here and it's still good. And it's honestly probably still better than what I'm gonna make.
Study of living things was markedly changed.
All right, there we go. The Galapagos. That's why he's saying it like that. The Galapagos, Darwin's World Within Itself, Encyclopedia Britannica, and brood production including red television. So was this on TV too? I wonder if this was on like British Discovery Channel. Or regular Discovery Channel. I would have watched this too. I wonder if there was an Encyclopedia Britannica channel. I wonder if that was like, that's like the equivalent of National Geographic Channel here in America. It might all be American, and I'm just assuming it's British because of the Britannica aspect. Yeah, in collaboration with Robert Bauman of the San Francisco State College. So this might just be an American production in disguise.
The Galapagos.
Oh man, another map. See, I'm already gonna say it. I think the last one had a better map than this.
Galapagos Archipelago is in the Pacific Ocean, 600 miles west of Ecuador, South America. It straddles the equator at the same longitude as New Orleans.
I feel like that's not very useful information at all. See, that's the struggle when talking about stuff like this, is what sort of geographical information. I feel like that is what YouTube videos do, though. They do like just state random facts, like it's at the same latitude or longitude as New Orleans. Like, okay.
The Humboldt Current, rich in marine life, flows through this archipelago.
This is funny. I like the arrows again. If you remember the last video, I commented on their current arrows too, and I think they might have had better animation. Oh, I forgot what year that one came from, though. It's not fair to compare if they're from different years, but the last one had a better map animation. That's so funny, though, because like that's the same way you compare, like, I don't know, geography YouTube channels nowadays. Who has the better map animations, you know?
And cools the sea. 16 main islands and numerous smaller ones make up a land area of approximately...
Dude, I love that fade. Yeah, this map, I don't know. I think the last one was better. This one's like more simple.
3,000 square miles. Most islands have both Spanish and English names.
That's so funny how they cut off like half of the islands. Because I'm studying them, like there's one more island down and there's like one other big island like off to the side. There's Floriana and there's San Cristobal.
Names. The largest, Isabella, or Albemarle, is 75 miles long. The smaller are mere rocks. Although all are of volcanic origin, no one knows exactly when the underwater eruptions first began.
It's funny how they say that, how nobody knows when the first underwater eruptions began, because, you know, all these years later, how many years later is this? Like 30, 20, 50, maybe 60? We still don't know. Like, we equally don't know now as we did not know back then.
Or the order in which the various islands of the archipelago were thrust above the sea. Evidence of volcanism is everywhere. Darwin said,
I scarcely hesitate to affirm that there must be in the whole archipelago at least 2,000 craters.
Most recently active have been...
I like that voice actor, though. That's fun. I guess that is something that some YouTubers do. That's not something that I really do.
...been Alcedo and Fernandina. When oceanic islands are formed by the emergence of underwater volcanoes, no living things can exist in the fiery and sterile lava.
All right, so this is actually, this is going to expose how little I might actually know about the Galapagos, but are they still like totally volcanically active? I don't know if it's just a few islands. In Hawaii, there's just 2 or 3 islands that are volcanically active. So I wonder if it's the same. I bet it's like Isabella that's volcanically active. I like that one clip of lava like bursting out of the ground. I wonder if that was actually filmed in the Galapagos or not. You know, that's what I'm wondering. Are they actively erupting like that? Like, I didn't think it was like that. I thought it was like, you know, every couple million years they would go off a little. I didn't think that there was a constant eruption taking place on the Galapagos Islands. I don't know, maybe. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't.
South America's plants and animals are situated closest to the Galapagos Islands. Perhaps the natural rafts of vegetation that flowed out of the rivers of Ecuador and Peru and into the Humboldt...
Oh man, you see, that's what's so funny is I always struggle to show how animals actually get from the mainland continents to islands. There's not a lot of good stock footage of just like drifting mats of plants running out of rivers. So it's actually amazing that they went out and got some of this footage for this. Like, the production value is actually like remarkably high here. Again, I don't know the purpose behind this. I don't know if they were like selling these. I don't know how they got so much money to film this sort of stuff, but the production value is there is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is high quality content for the year we're watching. And this plant right here, I actually am familiar with this plant. This is a water hydrangea. It grows in ponds. You can use it for like all that sort of stuff. People feed cows with it sometimes. It is invasive sometimes. It's funny though, I ordered some for a pond and I learned that it was from South America, and now we're learning about it just randomly from it being in South America. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone else, but I have dealt with this one specific plant before. I actually know exactly what it is. It's water hydrangea. It blooms exactly like that. I have it in the pond right over there.
Current brought plants, insects, and other animals. Some came by air, and some were carried on or in the bodies of other organisms that made the crossing. That dispersal of this kind occurred many times and against great odds over millions of years.
Yeah, wow, what good footage. Oh man, I never get footage like this of one seed drifting through the water, landing on the plant or landing on the island. That is like footage that I would kill for. And again, it's so hard to like, that's because that's what the viewers want to see, you know? Oh man, this is so good. I probably can't do better than this.
Is evident in the diversity of life forms.
Oh man, yeah, there's so much I want to say, but I'm trying to let them speak for themselves. But like these cactus trees, oh, I want to see these so bad. Everyone asks me what I want to see in the Galapagos, and I say the cactus tree, and nobody even knows what I'm talking about. Most people only know like the tortoises or the birds, the finches, the boobies and whatnot. But like, no, I want to see the cactus trees.
In speaking of the climate, Darwin said,
Considering that these islands are placed directly under the equator, the climate is far from being hot. This seems chiefly caused by the singularly low temperature of the surrounding water, brought here by the great southern polar current.
on most islands.
That's another interesting thing that I had to describe when I wrote and researched is how the specific climate of the islands. It's hard to describe because like they are equatorial, but they do receive like the Humboldt current up from Antarctica all along the coast of South America. It just gets deposited right there, and it's hard to even imagine what that's why I'm going because I can't even fully understand until I go what it's actually like. But I from what I've learned and read, it seems to have a very bizarre climate because it's warm but it's cold.
The coast region is rough and arid. Here and there between the lava
Oh, this is a great shot though. Just like this empty plain. Like I hope this is what it still looks like. I'm really fearful that like it's kind of been ruined by tourism. I hope it still looks like
are small sandy beaches.
If not though, that's again a part of the value of watching this. It's like we are actually getting to see the Galapagos Islands back in I guess a more pristine era. I don't know if the Galapagos were more degraded in the 70s or more pristine. Like I don't know if protection has allowed them to like recover or gotten worse, because I think there were a lot of invasive species that we like did eradicate and stuff. And this might be like the worst time to have seen the Galapagos. I like asking these questions. It stimulates thoughts, not that I ever find answers, but these make me think about a lot. The cactus trees. No way. The very next frame is the cactus trees. Yeah, these are what I want to see.
In what little soil has been formed in the lava rubble.
Don't they look so crazy? What if there was like a big forest of them? Oh man, I find it so fascinating.
Cactus and small shrubs often grow to the ocean's edge.
Dang, I didn't realize they grew right on like the water like that. Again, that's why I'm watching specifically Galapagos content, because I need to learn all this before I go.
Occasionally, where land and sea meet, salt-tolerant plants, such as the mangrove, green the edges of bays and lagoons. On the smaller islands, where most of the land is below 1,000 feet, there is only the arid vegetative zone. Larger islands, such as Santa Cruz...
Yeah, that's something that I don't think I'll actually be able to illustrate. It's just how varied each of the islands is, because they're desert, but then they're also tall and mountainous, so they receive moisture at the top, but not at the bottom. So you get this amazing mix of different environments on each island, too, just depending on its, elevation, depending on its topography, really.
And San Cristobal have 3 or more zones. Just beyond the shoreline on Santa Cruz is an arid, nearly impenetrable zone of spiny shrubs and cactus. Next is a transitional zone.
See, I can't tell you how much I just want to like be there and just like wander off just into those woods, you know? Like that is what I desire more than anything in this world, and just like find new species and stuff. If that job exists somehow, that's what I want to do more than anything.
Where tall trees and cactus mix.
Like I'm just so curious, like what's just right over there, you know? I bet there are species still that have just been undiscovered because you can't access it because it's too dense brush, you know?
Above this is the most fertile zone, an area kept moist with mists.
Wow, see, this is also where I have to experience. I didn't realize just how jungly it could be. I knew it was just, the forests were described as sort of rainforesty. This is an impressive forest to see on these islands. Because they're mostly desert islands. Like most of their surface area is just like bare rock and volcanic rock even. So it's amazing where these forests do arise, like to see them.
The Scalacia tree.
Oh man, I was about to say that. The Scalacia tree, before they even say it, I know I'm going to beat them to the punch. The Scalacia tree is a daisy tree. It's a member of the aster family. It came over as just a little flower and evolved into this huge tree. This is part of what I'm making the video about, so I shouldn't even talk about it. Let's just learn.
Relative of the common sunflower and native only to the Galapagos, thrives here.
He said sunflower, I said daisy. I'm pretty sure those are still equally related.
Food crops are grown in this area.
See, this is what boggles my mind, though, is that, like, part of the green part of the Galapagos is still used for, like, human agriculture. That is, I think, something that is going to infuriate me while I'm there.
Higher still is the Myconia belt, which consists principally of dense ferns and the endemic shrub Myconia. Both grow up to 10 feet in height.
He said both grow up to 10 feet. These ferns grow up to 10 feet. I really want to see that. I didn't realize how tall the, I guess, ferns grow.
At the summit, an upland zone is composed of ferns and grasses which cover the slopes of extinct volcanoes.
Oh, it's these cactuses again. I gotta learn what these are called. Because I know what I want to call them, but... yeah.
Overall, the Galapagos plant roster contains mainly families of plants with previous records of good long-distance dispersal. Groups with poor means of dispersal are absent.
Yeah, that kind of seems obvious.
The animals of the Galapagos have attracted worldwide attention.
I don't know if this is a marine iguana, but those are also one of the things I want to see most. The cactus trees, the Scalacia trees, and the marine iguanas. And the cormorants and the penguins.
It is from one of these animals, the tortoise or Galapago, that the islands take their name. An inhabitant of the islands showed Darwin how tortoises from different islands could be identified by the shape of their shells.
Dude, these things like seem unreal. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's so amazing to see them. It's such a shame that they're threatened and they've gone extinct on some of the islands already, but they really are like amazing animals to behold.
They appear to have evolved into two main types with slight variations. This one with a dome-shaped...
Like, look how big that is. That is a ginormous turtle. Tortoise.
...shell and short neck is from Santa Cruz Island. Other islands have species...
Like, how big is that even? Like, that's the size probably... I'm trying to think of what even to compare that to and how much HP it would have. That's probably like a big deer. I'm trying to think of like mass-wise. That thing is big. That is like heavier than a human.
With higher saddle-shaped shell.
It honestly just looks like a human, like waddling on
and
the floor.
long necks. This animal is from San Cristobal Island.
These things are absolutely amazing. I can't even find the words to describe. Like, I wonder how it's going to be in real life. But like seeing them even here is just awe-inspiring.
And this one is from Hood. All are vegetarians. When there is no fresh water, moisture is obtained from juicy cactus stems.
Look at him just chomping on this cactus like it's nothing.
Grass and other plants. When water is available, large quantities are consumed and stored in their bodies.
I wonder what it means by large quantities. Like, is he taking on like gallons of water? I guess it makes sense though, right? These are desert islands. You take water when you can.
Another type of reptile with unusual
These are the marine iguanas.
adaptations is the iguana. Two species of this type of lizard are found here. Each has its own peculiar way of living. The marine iguana exists in greater numbers and is common along...
Wow, look at them. I didn't realize they hung out in big groups like this either. Wow. See, I know I said that I'm learning about them, but you know, part of this is also part of learning about them. This is why I haven't made the video yet. This is why I'm in the process of making the videos, because I really hope I get to see them like this. I really doubt I will see them like this. I was in my head hoping to see like one and get footage of like one. But if I saw a whole bunch like this, that would make my day for sure. Like, I can't imagine how excited the photographers were, or the cameramen were, for filming this.
along the shores of most of the islands. Darwin described them this way.
It is a hideous-looking creature of a dirty black color, stupid,
You know, honestly, that is fair. They are kind of like really ugly.
and sluggish in its movements. The usual length
That was funny. The little head turn when that one heard the sluggish comment.
of a full-grown one is about a yard, but there are some 4 feet long. A large one weighed 20 pounds.
They're just so bizarre. Like, you have to understand that, like, these sorts of things don't exist on every island. You know, marine iguanas are very special to the Galapagos. And just to see them, I don't know, this size, this, like, lifestyle, it's wild. It's unlike anywhere else on Earth. And that is something hard to wrap your head around.
When in the water, tail and body propel the animal with a kind of
They
serpent.
look really funny, though. It's funny because they actually do look pretty hydrodynamic. On land, they don't look like they'd be good at swimming, but seeing them like this, it's like, oh yeah, honestly look like a fish.
Serpentine motion. The legs, although partially webbed, are not
It's also just notable that they aren't at their like final stage in evolution. Like, they are very clearly in between evolving from land-based to sea-based. If they had millions more years, they would look completely different. They would grow to a completely different size. They would probably have different sorts of skin to protect from the water and everything. Like, give them time. If they had just infinite time without humans, they would have evolved into something so special to these islands. They already are, but they would become even more unique as time goes on. They're still around. They're not extinct yet, but I don't have faith that we won't utterly destroy these islands eventually.
used in swimming. Marine iguanas are the only lizards that regularly feed at sea. Their food consists of varied seaweeds found on the ocean bottom and on shore rocks at low tides. The sun-baked lava shores provide a place for these cold-blooded animals to warm themselves after feeding. Burrows are constructed for the purpose of egg-laying.
That's so funny because I don't really typically associate like iguanas with digging little structures or like altering the earth for their purposes. I guess they probably do. I guess the smaller ones probably do. There's something so big. It doesn't seem like something capable of digging that, but that's cool.
As in many ocean-going vertebrates, marine iguanas are able to drink seawater.
Really? They can just drink seawater? I didn't know that. I just didn't know any animal could just drink seawater.
Special glands located in the head rid the body of excess salt.
Oh, I do remember learning about that now. That's what's coming off of them. That's the amazing evolution, is that they like get rid of the salt through their skin.
It is ejected from the nostrils in a fine spray. The other iguana is also endemic to the Galapagos. Although about the same size as its
Yeah, this is like the funniest part, is that like half of the iguanas went off and evolved into this super unique, amazing marine form, and then the other half just stayed like pretty normal iguanas.
marine counterpart, the land iguana is usually more brightly colored.
Yeah, they're not so ugly too. They don't have like all the crusty salt all over them.
The burrows in which it lives
No offense. I mean, they're still pretty cool. That's part of what makes them cool, actually, is that they have that unique, salty look to them.
often honeycomb the land. Despite their fierce appearance, land iguanas are herbivorous. Cactus flower.
Dude, the eye that he just gave the cameraman, that was good too. He was probably a little worried receiving that sort of side eye, but like, that was a good shot.
Flowers, fruits, and stems are preferred foods. When these fall from the plants, they are snatched up quickly.
Dude, they just look like they move in slow motion though. Like, I know that's like an aspect of islands is island tameness, but I really do not think that something like this could live like on the mainland, right? Like a jaguar or something could just like get that in an instant. I don't think it would be that hard. I know they can like run really fast when they need to and just like flobble out of there, but like these seem suited for islands, I guess is the best way to put it.
The land iguana can also be trained to take food offered by hand.
Damn, I bet people have these as pets somewhere though, don't they? They're kind of cute. They seem soulless to me. I don't know. They're not though. They're not. They're amazing animals. But.
Two other reptiles represented on the islands are the lava lizard and a snake, a small harmless constrictor. Perhaps no animal group has contributed more to the history of evolutionary...
All right, now we're talking about the finches. See, this is something that I've totally avoided doing for my video and my script, is talking about the finches, just because I know I can't do a better job than Darwin can at describing them. And there's no way I'm going to get footage of all of them, let alone like even some of them really. So that's why this is so important, is because this is like a full spectrum coverage on like every important aspect of the Galapagos. Whereas when I go, I will not be able to get every last, finch in footage.
Biology than the Darwin finches. The birds bear the name of Darwin because...
But that's cool. I do want to like see and learn about them still.
They, more than any other living thing, supply the evidence of evolution. The 13 species do not exist elsewhere. Noting that all the species were closely related, but differed from each other mainly in beak structure and habits, Darwin said,
"Seeing this gradation and diversity of structure in one small, intimately related group of birds, one might really fancy that from an original paucity of birds, one species had been taken and modified for different ends."
These modifications...
It's so funny to hear his language. I've read a little bit of Darwin, not all of it, but like, it is like amazing to hear his thought process. It's like when you have the right idea, but somebody else is coming to the idea, like because we have studied evolution, from the future, we know already the conclusion he's going to come to. But it is amazing to hear him just like describe evolution in so many different ways and just like trying to figure it out. It is amazing.
or adaptations were the means by which the finches survived in a harsh and isolated environment. Varied bill structures are related to different kinds of food and food getting. Some species hunt seeds chiefly on the ground. Others feed on flowers and fruits. This one adds protein to its cellulose-rich seed diet by grooming marine iguanas of ticks.
Dang, they have ticks? I didn't know they had ticks in the Galapagos. That sucks.
The warbler finch, with slender and pointed bill, feeds almost exclusively on insects. Recently, an adaptive change in the feeding habits...
See, I really want shots like this too, just of like this cliffside on like the ocean. Like I hope I get to go here exactly.
...of a ground finch was discovered on distant Wolf Island. In addition...
Oh, I probably won't go here then if this is like a very distant one of the islands.
In addition to seed eating, the finch pecks at the soft skin of the masked booby.
Oh, wow, that's really interesting. I feel like I've seen birds eat things off of other animals, like big animals, like we just saw with those iguanas, even, but like never another bird. That's a new niche.
Until it draws blood.
What? That's crazy. It draws blood. It's like a parasitic bird.
Then it feeds on the blood. The origin of this unique finch-booby relationship is now under study.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That is, because it doesn't even seem like the bird cares that much. That's so weird. It's like, it's a bird parasite. That's life for you, I guess. Do other birds like that exist elsewhere in the world, or is that like the only known case of that happening? Like, is that, like, how did a bird even start doing that? I'm disturbed by that a little, to be honest.
Other interesting adaptations are known in Galapagos animals, such as the native hawk, which is a distinct species, the lava gull, whose ancestors had white plumage, the nocturnal feeding swallow-tailed gull, and the short-eared owl. All show a remarkable degree of tameness.
See, I said that earlier too, didn't I? Island tameness. Well, I don't know if this is just the frame that I paused on. Its pupils are like, is that real? Its pupils are crazy. They're not the same size. Maybe one eye's in sun, one eye's in shade, but they're not even like looking at each other. That was just a crazy shot I was just looking at. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, it's not just the frame, it's like the whole shot. That is, did it explain why its eyes look like that?
The Galapagos penguin,
Am I the only one disturbed by those eyes too?
one of the world's smallest, lives here in an environment far different from the one it left.
Dude, yes, this is probably the thing I want to see the most, is the penguins.
For these most northerly dwelling penguins, the cold Humboldt Current and fish-filled waters have provided a favorable environment. Most unusual of seabirds is the flightless cormorant.
Yeah, these are probably something else that I'm looking forward to seeing, definitely, but they're probably the best example of like island evolution taking place. Maybe not, maybe the tortoises or, obviously the finches and stuff, but like these, based on like the stuff I've talked about on my channel, Atlas Pro, it's a flightless bird, and it's pretty much like on the same evolutionary track as like dodos. It's not as evolved as dodos were. It's actually another shame that they didn't have a few million more years to evolve, because they would have turned into like a crazy, large island bird, just like the dodo was. But they haven't had that much time. But they are flightless, which shows that they are on the same track.
It is found only in the Galapagos. Their small numbers make it an endangered
Do they really sound like that? That is a horrible sound.
species. Even though it can no longer fly, the habit of wing drying still persists.
See, yeah, I hope I get to see them do that at least once too, because this is really like, it's an evolutionary relic. Like, they have wings and they get cold and wet, but they can't fly, but they have to dry them and they have to spend time drying them. It's just, eventually they will not have such wings, like evolution is still taking place. Like there is still clearly some change that needs to take place for them to be perfectly evolved here. So it's a shame that they might be disturbed by, humans' presence here.
Flightlessness is compensated for by swimming and fishing ability.
That is funny though. I don't think the dodos swam for food at all. I think that is like a slight difference. I could be wrong. Just thinking about their bodies, I don't think they'd be good for swimming, where these ones kind of do look better for it.
The cormorant, like the iguana, drinks seawater when necessary.
I guess I'm showing how little I know about everything, but I just did not think animals generally could drink seawater to survive.
Excess salt is extracted and drops from the beak as brine.
How does that happen? They just extract the salt and then it just comes out like tears?
Also rare and endangered is the flamingo. The fewer than 150 that live here are the only flamingos occurring naturally in the Pacific area.
Wow, I didn't know that these are the only flamingos of the Pacific. That's why these islands are so special. I hope everyone watching is already on board for these islands being special. I hope I'm not trying to convince anyone that they're special. I hope we're just, all together learning to appreciate them even more. But like 100 to 150 flamingos exist on these islands, and like they're the only ones here. It's so wild when there's just one population like that. Because that could have been like removed by people so easily back in the day, and there probably were others.
Blue feet may not be an adaptive advantage, but they do mark one of the most common and amusing seabirds of the Galapagos, the blue-footed booby. Two other species, the red...
Oh, wow, that's funny. So I knew about the blue-footed boobies, and I think I knew about the red-footed boobies too, but I didn't realize how like starkly different they were.
Red-footed and the white or masked booby are also common. Although most of the living things that Charles Darwin observed in these islands are still found here, dangers to their survival are always existent.
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about.
Even before Darwin came, crews of buccaneer and whaling ships killed or carried off thousands of tortoises for fresh meat and oil. On some
It's so wild because, like, there couldn't have even been that much food, you know? Like, it was really just enough to sustain, like, a crew of men. All the tortoises on that island, like, that entire evolutionary lineage was the whole end game of that. Like, it was just to sustain one crew of men one time, you know? It's just wild. It's like, oh, you could have just fished, you know? Like, why didn't they fish?
islands, there are no survivors.
You'd think that they would be expert fishermen if they spent all their time on the ocean. I don't know why they had to kill these tortoises. Oh my gosh, and they still have like their remains scattered. See, that's nuts too, because the shells, yeah, are just like rocks pretty much. Like, that is nuts. Like, they probably have like all the shells. I never even thought about that before, but like, there probably just are all the shells of all the tortoises that ever lived still there, right? Like, they haven't like degraded or anything. They probably got covered by volcanic rock but there's probably a lot of like ones in the ground. Oh, I bet.
Domestic animals, introduced by man and allowed to run wild, are the worst enemies of this environment.
Yeah, this really was worse than any like land use that we put the islands through, any farming or anything. It was the introduction of species. Like, goats will eat every single thing that they get their mouths over. Like, goats will eat everything. Dogs will, hunt things. Cats will hunt things. Rats will eat the eggs of birds and that sort of thing. Again, I've been over this a lot of times on Atlas Pro before.
It takes only a few hungry goats to destroy scores of trees and shrubs. And today, goats number in the thousands.
But here's the thing. I think they might have actually eradicated goats from some of the islands since this was made. I think I read something about that somewhere. That, like, they had programs and they actually got these goats off. At least somewhere.
No vegetation is immune to attack in their search for food and moisture.
So that's what I'm saying. So this might have preserved a time in the Galapagos' history where they were more under threat than they might have even been today. Let's hope so, at least. Let's hope so.
For the green turtle, the tortoise, and the iguanas, wild pigs and rats may ultimately be the cause of extinction. Often, within a few hours of laying, the eggs of these reptiles are rooted from their nests and eaten. For some other plants and animals, clearing of more land for cultivation is bound to upset the balance of their natural communities.
Yeah, introducing species was definitely like the worst thing, but obviously clearing the land is still very bad. Oh, but man, do I love this sort of music. This music almost makes me feel like it's all okay. I should have just a musical like montage of footage because you really do appreciate it more just seeing everything that there is to see here. Like I'm glad they included this little interlude just for us to have a nice time observing the wildlife ourselves. See, I feel like even those little sort of scrappy islands or islets or whatever might even have their own species on them. I want to explore them so bad, that's the thing. Like, I could spend a lifetime just hopping to every single little island and seeing if there's anything special there. That's just, I'm envious of anyone who gets to do that.
The Galapagos Islands have been called the Enchanted Isles. Darwin described them as a world within itself. In their oceanic isolation, the process of
That was the title, they just said it.
natural selection has transformed plants and animals into many unique products of evolution. Most of these life forms are still more or less intact, but will they stay that way? A step in the right direction was made when the government of Ecuador declared all of the archipelago a national park.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that I'm contending with right now, is that going to it, you can't just walk around on the islands. You have to, hire specific tours. You cannot just go exploring on your own. You have to hire people to take you on a tour. So that's part of why they're being so well protected. But again, that goes against my, instinct of just desiring nothing more but just to go out on my own and, find things, I wish so bad that's what I could do, but I can't. Well, it's good for the islands, but I guess I want, as much as anyone else, I want to just go exploring.
Is already settled or cultivated. To provide as much protection as possible for the native plants and animals, and to furnish field facilities for visiting scientists, the Darwin Research Station was established in 1960.
See, that's what's wild too, is that 1960, this was made in 1971, so they'd only really been doing this for 11 years at this point, whereas now, I feel like if it was made in 1960, again, it should be 60 years old. I guess they've been more protected over time rather than less, and so they might have actually recovered. I might be visiting them during the best period to ever have visited them, except for, the future. But that's hopeful. I like to hear that. I'm glad that's what we're ending this program on, is the conservation aspect, because it really is the most important aspect of learning about all of this, is convincing people that it's worth saving and protecting. Because, what's the point of learning about it if it just doesn't exist one day?
An extensive research program for the preservation of the tortoise is already underway in a highland reserve and at the lowland research station.
This guy's just peeling apart an egg. Are you supposed to do that?
Resident scientists also conduct education.
Dang, I love how this is the shot for resident scientists. Let's take a look at what the resident scientists look like. This guy's hat. See, oh man, you used to be able to pull off this sort of outfit. Now you can't really do that so much. This guy does look like a scientist.
Programs for the settlers and tourists.
I am dreading being one of these tourists, though. That's what I hate. It's just the idea that I'm gonna just be one of everyone else who just is there to see the nature. It kind of bums me out that it is such a tourism hotspot. It seems like it should have been.
Although tourism has not developed to the extent that it has in other island areas of the world, it is increasing. And the adverse effects of human presence in the Galapagos are bound to increase. Man still has a choice to make here, to exploit it as he has much of the rest of the world.
I guess I take that back, because ecotourism might be the thing, the actual economic stimulus that makes protecting the Galapagos feasible in the first place, right? If it weren't for the national parks and everyone who visits, you might have more pressure from coffee, sugar, and all those sorts of industries to develop them and continue expanding their farms. So maybe the only way the Galapagos can actually be protected is if there are tourists like me who go. I don't know. Maybe that's a good outlook. That's what I'm going to tell myself, at least.
Or to handle it gently, so that it will remain.
It sucks because as a tourist, you're also taking part in the degradation of the land and in the preservation of it. It's a paradox a little bit, a conundrum for sure.
Forever, a natural laboratory of evolution.
Oh, they did say it. No way. They said it. They saved it for last. Wow. A laboratory for evolution. I can't believe it. I'm so glad I called that. See, again, that's just proof that I guess I didn't come up with that phrase. I thought I did, but I guess not. I guess that's just the common phrase that people use to refer to islands in that sort of way. Dude, the crabs, are we going to learn about these crabs? If you remember the last video, we still don't know anything about these crabs, but I've seen them now twice. Dude, look at that. I just want to look at that sea turtle for a second. That's amazing. That's not the tortoises either, right? That's just sea turtles. Dang, it just ends like that. It just fades off into the music. What an anticlimactic ending. All right, so that was good. I think that honestly did a better job than the first one. I feel like I got to see more of what made these islands special. I feel like the last one we watched really spent more time explaining the reason behind the interesting the interesting life that was there, whereas this one, I feel like just explored it more. I just feel like we got more shots of more animals doing more things, which is good to know, just because if I'm going to go there, that's what I should focus on. I think that's the more interesting part of the Galapagos, is seeing the animals. I don't remember the last one I watched that well, but I feel like that is what I was left wanting, is more of an exploration of the animals. This one was good. I enjoyed this. It's funny that it comes from a different production company. I wonder what that has to say. Definitely an enjoyable watch. I think, how long is this? 18 minutes, 19 minutes? I think this is the best 19 minutes on the Galapagos Islands like a beginner could watch. I mean, maybe the other one that I watched is maybe a better intro, and then this is like a good part 2, maybe. They're solid together, I guess. And we didn't learn the same exact stuff. We learned kind of overlapping stuff. Obviously, they're the same islands, but we didn't like hear anything repeated word for word, except the laboratories of extinction, I guess. This felt like a different documentary. We got all those shots of the floating plants and everything. Yeah, this was good. We got a lot more like landscape shots too. I'm glad. We did get more maps than the other one, but I think this was good. I'm enjoying this. I hope you guys don't mind if we just go on a little Galapagos bender for the rest of this, for until I go, and then I'll get it out of my system, and I'll never talk about the Galapagos again. On this channel, at least. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are enjoying learning about the Galapagos, and I hope to see you soon.